If you've been following the podcast for any length of time, you know that every week I tell you about how you can join the 52 Qs community. I even have a logo down there. We're wearing it. I'm wearing it on a t-shirt. We've got mugs and hats and all those other kind of things. My point is, you know where you are. But one of the things I've never done on the podcast is kind of showed you what we do there. Actually, in the community, everything from the weekly feedback threads to the Q breakdowns to live streams to feedback sessions to pitching to Real Music Library. So what I thought we would do today, not to turn this into like a podcast length commercial, but to show you the behind the scenes kind of VIP tour of the community so you can get a good idea of everything we do here at 52 Qs. What is happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 52 Qs podcast, where each week we offer up insights into the world of production and library music. My name is Dave Kropf, and not only am I a composer, I am also a professor of production music, and it is so good to be with you here today. You know, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio on the go, just know that I appreciate you spending part of your day here with me today. Also, as always, a huge word of thanks to the family, friends, and neighbor subscribers of 52 Qs who are composers just like you looking to write better cues and find success in the sync music industry. And 52 Qs is there to help with workshops, Zoom feedbacks. You know what? I say that every week. We're going to actually be talking about that a little bit later in today's episode. Speaking of later in today's episode, I've got another Shark Week tension cue called Where My Breeches At, and we're going to be listening to that a little bit later. But let's dive into the topic, and that is a VIP tour of the 52 Qs community. Like I said in the intro, I talk about how you can join us, and I kind of blast off a bunch of things that we offer. But if you've never been to the community, or maybe you've never gone to 52qs.com and checked it out, then you might not know everything that goes on here. So let's do it. Like I said, a white glove tour of 52 Qs. So you can register, you can join the community. It is free to join. Go to 52qs.com and you want to click the Join the Community button here at the top. And when you do, you'll be prompted to create an account. Like I said, it is free to join, but we do offer a ton of other subscriber benefits. But when you first log in, you are met with the All Post. This is going to be your master feed that shows you everything that you have access to, whether it's posts or reminders or polls or events. They all show up on this All Posts thread. And then you can click on All Events, and that's going to show you all of the events going on in the community that you have access to, whether they are feedback and critique sessions, live streams. We have different stages of briefing room deliverables and briefs and rounds. More on the briefing room here in just a second. Also have other events like office hours and workshops and weekly check-ins. And we even have some of our mastermind groups who still meet every single or every other week. These are folks who I worked with back in 2023, and they are still getting together here in the community. And then you can check out all of the members that are close to you, the members who play the same instruments you do, or maybe they don't play the same instruments, but you might need somebody who like plays bass, or somebody who plays, who makes beats or plays brass. And then we have a discovery tab over here, which will show you kind of all of the posts which are getting the top interaction or that have the most engagement. All right, so that's kind of the top left, the general kind of catch-all, everything that's happening. But for the most part, you are going to be spending your time in the community within these collections. And just got a chat there. In these collections, on the left side of the interface, we have three primary collections. One is called Connect and Share. More on that here in a second. One is called Learn and Grow. And another one is called Pitch and Placement. So the Connect and Share collection, this is where you find your tribe and share your work. Starting first with the general catch-all, the discussion forum, the central, if the community had a water cooler, this would be it, the Composer Cafe. And we put weekly polls. Today, as I'm recording this, it is Wednesday, and every Wednesday I put a Wednesday post where folks can jump in and share their wins, whether it's I got something placed, or I got something finished, or I got signed to a library. And so we have Jesse right here, who just met some folks at PMC and then had an entire album of quirky reggae dramedy cues signed. And so that's amazing. Congratulations, Jesse. That is huge. Beyond the feed, we have a chat room, and most of the spaces within 52 Qs have a chat room feature where you can kind of jump in, and it's not necessarily it's more like a Discord type of a channel. And so we have been having a good time lately talking about the new Omnisphere 3 posted, and it actually went out a day early. And so we've got all kinds of folks who are excitedly downloading Omnisphere 3. And that discussion happened in the chat room, and it's really, really great. Again, it's kind of like a Discord channel where everybody just jumps in, folks asking questions, folks giving feedback, posting things that are helpful. So the chat room, lots of activity there in the chat room. And then many of the spaces within the community have events. And so every week, Shannon, Wednesday at lunch, does a little chat, which is a check-in. It's a brief 30 minutes or so live stream where she just talks about life or the industry or community or wellness or just some things that she's going through. It's almost like a little mini podcast that is in real time. And so she goes over the events of the week, what's coming up, and ways that the community can engage. That is our little chat. And then we have different topics that you can check out. So if you're wanting something like about gear, then you can click on gear and equipment and find archives and articles about all of that. All right, so that is the Composer Cafe. That is one of my favorite places in the community because there's so much chatter, so many great things and discussions happening in the cafe, and that is available to everybody. Free members and subscriber members. That is free to everybody. Also free to everybody in the Connect and Share space is the weekly feedback. So if you have a cue that you are working on, what we are encouraging our members to do is to post them on the weekly feedback threads, because we feel here at 52 Qs that feedback is the best, most concentrated way to get better. Post your cues, get feedback from folks in the community, and beyond all that, even giving feedback. I find that I learn more by giving feedback than necessarily receiving feedback, because if you hear something and you think, wow, maybe that's not working, or here's how I would fix that, then giving feedback helps to kind of connect all those neurons that can help you improve as a composer. And so our weekly feedback threads are fantastic. There's also a little kind of inspirational quote, and Shannon has a little blog post that goes along with that. And so that is our weekly feedback. Also open to the entire community. You do not have to be a paid member to access the cafe or the weekly feedback. Now, we have a couple of other connection points that are subscriber benefits. One of them is the collab zone, which we're really trying to kind of get off the ground. What we're looking to do is create a space that folks can come together and say, this is what I need. This is what I have to offer. Now, to date, I mean, we've had this for about a year or so, but so far it really hasn't taken off. And so if you are watching this and you have some ideas, and maybe you're in the community or whatever, and you're a friends and family subscriber, but even if you're not, I would love to hear your thoughts on how we can make that space work for each other. Because, this is my year. 2025 is my year of collaboration, and I am committed to trying to get better at collaborating. And we want to make a space for that, because this gig is too solitary. You do not have to figure it out all on your own. And so we want to make a space that can create connection points between people. And so that is the collab zone. And then we have the family room, which is a premium chat space, feed space for our family subscribers. This is where we do a lot of communication about the different briefs. We also have weekly office hours. So every Monday at lunch, I get together with members of the community in an open Zoom session, and we just talk about everything that is going on. I'm going to think that, Greg. This is me and Greg talking about his Denver Broncos and my San Diego my Los Angeles Chargers. But we get together all in a Zoom room. We are hanging out. We are talking industry. We're talking life. We talk sports. If we're unpacking a new brief in the community, then we'll talk about it. I'll answer questions about that in the community. And I really, really, really enjoy these office hours. They are a grab bag, open Q&A session. And we got folks from all over the world who are joining us for our weekly office hours. Again, every Monday at noon for our family subscribers. And so we also have a family room chat room where a lot of questions about briefs and everything kind of go out. I just got word on Monday that we had a new brief from one of the publishers I'm working with. And so I gave kind of a hint. Guys, be on the lookout. The Golf 2026 brief is coming down the pipe. And so just a heads up, and there were some questions about it. And by the way, if you don't like silly GIFs and stuff, then probably, I don't know, you might be exhausted by this, but I do love me some GIFs. So those are the spaces of the connect and share area of the community. It's all about bringing folks together, and it is first in the community for a reason, because we believe that relationships are greater than results. I mean, results are important, but results start from a relational place. And so if we can get together, we can chat in the cafe, we can post our cues, get feedback on those cues, we can collaborate, and then we can talk business, then that's what the connect and share place is all about. Which brings us to our next collection of spaces in the community, which is Learn and Grow. So if you join the community, you jump in, you connect, and then you learn, and then the final space is ready for pitching. So it's almost kind of mirroring a career trajectory. That's not an accident. So the Learn and Grow space starts with new to Qs, and this is a space that's dedicated to the newbies. It's for folks who are either new to 52 Qs and have questions about the community, or folks who are new to production and library music, and maybe like they don't know what stems are, and they're afraid to ask about, what does LUFS mean, or form and structure. And so we have the new to Qs place set aside to help folks in a safe, comfortable environment where you don't have to worry about, asking quote unquote dumb questions. There are no dumb questions. And we also have folks in the community. We have community mentors who live in the new to Qs space, whose job is to help you out. One of those mentors is Jeff Hargrove. He is an amazing composer. He has an awesome YouTube channel on his own, and he is a community mentor in our new to Q space that in his entire MO is to help you. We've also got some exciting things coming down the pipe with this space, including kind of newbie-focused workshops that are going to be available to the entire community. So be on the lookout. If you are new to 52 Qs, or if you're new to production music, then the New to Qs place is for you. You can ask questions. It's available to everybody. Like I said, feedback and critique is a cornerstone of what we do here at 52 Qs, and kind of the banner feedback, the events that we hold in the community are feedback sessions every Tuesday and Thursday. And this is where family subscribers come together. They submit their cues, and I listen to them and provide feedback, and other folks provide feedback along with them. And so you can see here, we're listening to a cue. We've got folks providing feedback in the chat. It's very, very helpful. And I encourage folks to give feedback in the chat because, like I said earlier, receiving feedback is important. Giving feedback is almost more important. And so we do feedback sessions every Tuesday, every Thursday, and up to 10 composers can submit their cues for consideration. And it's just an all-around really, really good time. I really enjoy it. And maybe one of these days, what we'll do is we'll drop a feedback session into the feed, so into the podcast here, so you guys can actually see that and just get an idea of everything that we cover there in the live feedback sessions. And you don't have to be present. You don't have to attend live. It is via Zoom, and we do record it, but we have archives that are going back months and months. Well, actually at this point, years and years of feedback sessions that we have available for our family subscribers. For our friends and family subscribers, we do have monthly workshops, and these are workshops that fall into a handful of different categories. One is workshops on how to write certain cues. So it might be how to write contemporary hip hop cues or dramedy cues, or how to write edit points. And each of these have their own archive that you can check out, and they're available to you. And usually there are some accompanying PDFs that you can download as well. But we do a workshop every single month, usually the last Thursday or the last Monday of each month. So those are how to write workshops. We have music production workshops. So it might be topics on things like drum set programming or music theory or form and structure, mixing and mastering, synth programming. We have workshops from there. We have workshops that are industry insights. So whether it's like getting your credits on IMDb, or doing an amazing workshop here with Biagio, who joined us here on the podcast, but he went deep into his editing and showed us how he edits cues into his shows there in Premiere. This was an amazing workshop, and a huge shout out to Biagio for his very, very, very generous workshop. But we bring guests in. Here is a music director here. We had Sam and Sarah join us. We also had Aaron Collins from CSAC. We had Michael Scicciano, who is the professor of game music here at Full Sail. And we also do Q&A and Q review workshops. And this is where we bring a guest. Sometimes it could be a publisher, like here is Jason Moss with Bulletproof Bear. We brought in recently Josh Siegel, who is an editor who lives out in LA. We had Jason Graves, Anthony Clint Jr. We've had Jason Rudd on a couple of times. We've had Timothy Andrew Edwards, Marlon Gibbons. We've had Dean Kripane, and my sports broadcasting publisher, Rob Astor, came and did a complete cue review. And this is where we are listening to folks' cues in real time. And we have either a publisher or a music supervisor listening and giving feedback on the cues that we're listening to. hugely valuable, and that is just one of the many types of workshops that we offer. And so we do have an upcoming workshop on this coming Monday, Fake It Till You Make It, which is about how to reverse engineer any style or any genre using the Prism method, which we talked about recently here on the podcast. And of course, we have archives that go back years. These are all archives of at least an hour each, and they're all available to our family and friends subscribers. We also have cue breakdowns. About once a week or so, I will jump in and do a deep dive on one of the cues that I have usually talked about here on the podcast. I go deep into the sounds. I talk about the harmonic choices, the instrumentation, the form, structure, mix, even getting into the titling. And so these are deeper dives, usually 20 to 30 minutes or so, where I unpack my process on the cues that we actually feature here on the podcast. And so those are also grouped up by different cue types, whether they're dramedy, emotional, hip hop, intrigue, rock, tasking, tension, trailer, uplifting, world cues. And it kind of goes on and on, again, about once a week or so for the last 4 years. And so if you want to know, okay, like I've never written a tasking cue, so let's look for tasking. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different breakdowns of tasking cues that will show you my entire process. And so those are all available for all of our family and friends subscribers that you can access. And then every single week, I do a music production live stream. This is where I am here in the studio, and for 2 hours, I turn on the camera and do a live stream. And the most recent one that I'm working on is a trip hop tension cue. And this is available to our family, friends, and neighbor subscribers. And so you can see here from the live stream, usually starting from scratch with an empty DAW, and I am picking sounds, and I am going through my entire process from conception, usually all the way to final mix and master. This past week, I was using the new Splice instrument to check that out. We get questions from the community that I am answering in real time, and so that's really helpful. Here lately, for the past, 6 months or so, these have been Friday morning at 7 a.m. Yes, 7 a.m. Eastern, which means that I know we have some West Coast folks who are getting up at 4 in the morning to hang out here in the chat. I'm looking at you, Ms. Juju Beats, who faithfully joins us every single week. And it's always a really good hang. We are a small, kind of intimate group, but we have a really good time. But just like with the cue breakdowns, the live streams are also all archived. And these archives are separated and categorized by type of cue. So we have a bunch of action cues, actually 2 action cues. We have a ton of dark, ominous tension cues that you can check out. We've got a ton of dramedy cues. And again, you can just pop into any of these. And if they are multi-parts, then you can have all the parts are in the single archive, and you can go in, check it out. And there's me writing a dramedy cue. We also feature emotional and underscore cues, funk and pop cues, hip hop cues, intrigue, light tension cues, some other miscellaneous production. And this is when I will go in and actually work on deliverables. This Friday, I'm supposed to wrap up my trip hop tension, but I might actually change that to deliverables. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Positive uplifting cues, rock cues, tasking cues, trailer cues, world and folk cues. So if you've ever wanted to see, like, all right, I want to watch a dramedy cue get written from start to scratch or from start to finish, or if you wanted to look up a tension cue and see that get written from start to finish, here is an eerie vocal tension cue that you can see get completely finished. Again, with the chat, the archives are all available. And these are each, like I said, about 2 hours long. And it's It is not an insignificant number of hours of archives that you can check out, which is why I always tell folks when they first join the community, especially if they join on the subscriber level, to be prepared for a fire hose of information, because you log in and it's like, oh my gosh, I've got hundreds of hours of archives to check out, live streams, workshops, cue breakdowns. And so this is part of why I wanted to talk about it here on the podcast, to kind of show you everything that goes on here in the community. And again, that is available to our family, friends, and neighbor subscribers. So then we have the Production Music Almanac, which is, the way I think of it, is kind of a living, growing ebook. And ideally, it would be once every couple of months, but it really depends on how busy I am with writing and doing all the publishing stuff. But we post articles that kind of dive deep into the different aspects of production and library music, starting first with like, what is production music, or understanding edit points, or how do you cultivate sustainable creativity? How do you work with editors? What do editors even want? What's a PRO? And so this is the almanac. We have a ton of ideas and plans for that. Right now, we are up to 32 chapters, I guess, but that is available to our family, friends, and neighbors. Again, think of it like a living ebook that is changing and evolving over time. The last couple of spaces in our Learn and Grow collection is the 52 Cues podcast, which is where we post all of the episodes of the 52 Cues podcast, including links, and you can check that out. You can watch it right here within the community. You can comment on it. If you didn't want to necessarily watch it via YouTube, that's the 52 Cues podcast. And then finally, anytime we post composer quests, they are going to go into this Learn and Grow. And right now, we are on week 42, as I'm recording this, of our Expedition 52 2025, which is the year-long composer quest where folks have been posting cues every single week for an entire year and providing feedback for cues for the entire year. And so it's a fantastic group, and it's super rewarding. The chat room is fantastic, just like the other chat rooms. And we have monthly radio check-ins. And this is where we fire up the Zoom and we just kind of say, how are we doing, folks? How is your climb going? And we'll share wins. We'll share maybe some challenges. We'll all get together and chat about our progress. And we will do some listening where we don't go deep into like feedback or whatever, but we listen to cues from the members or from the climbers in the expedition. We provide feedback or we provide encouragement, and the radio check-ins, they happen every month. And we only have a handful left. It's hard to believe we only have three of these left, because Expedition 52 is wrapping up here at the end of December. So that is the Learn to Grow. Again, connect and share. This is where we come together as a community. We share our works. We encourage each other. Learn and Grow. This is where you are learning how to write the cues. Either it's, if you're brand new in the new to cues, all the way watching the live streams, the cue breakdowns, and workshops, and live critiques and feedback. And then finally, we have the pitch and placement area. And this is an area that is focused on opportunities for composers. Opportunities from the community. If you are ready to pitch, maybe you have an album, or whether maybe you want to write to some briefs, then this area is for you. Starting with the brand new Sync Accelerator, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Sam and Sarah from Real Crafter, because our Sync Accelerator is powered by Real Crafter. And just a quick recap, what the Sync Accelerator is a space for our family and friends subscribers where we are writing albums. And then using Real Crafter, we are going to pitch those albums for potential placement in libraries. And so right now, we just started our new brief, our latest brief, which is also the first brief, where we're going to be writing cinematic synthwave cues. And so there's a description of it, what we're looking for, and we also have some references that you can check out. And so if folks want to write to this, then they can RSVP. And you can see we have several folks already joining us on this composer quest. But even beyond all of that, at the end, I said composer quest in the Sync Accelerator in this brief. And then at the end of the brief, when the brief closes, we're all going to get together in a Zoom session, and I am going to give Derby style feedback. And that means that it's not going to be deep feedback. It's not going to be like a 15-minute kind of feedback video, or even like the feedback we get over in the live critique sessions. But instead, I think of them as Derby style. And I am borrowing this from PMC, where they have demo derbies, where you submit a cue, you're responding to a brief, and a music supervisor or an editor or a publisher listens to them for potential consideration. And yes, there is some feedback. We're going to be providing some feedback, but we're approaching it the way a music supervisor would approach it, which means, within the first 10 or 15 seconds, we should have a pretty good idea of whether or not this is going to work for the type of brief. And so it's going to be Derby style, but it is going to be via Zoom, and everybody within the friends and family are welcome to join us. Even if you didn't participate in this brief, we'd love to have you join us, because seeing folks get feedback and participating in that feedback is such a fantastic way for you to improve your own writing. And it is a safe place, and we're being super transparent about it. It's not like secret ballot or anything like that. Just seeing somebody get feedback and participating in that feedback, like I said, is just the way to supercharge your creative process. And then once the brief is done, once we have a good idea of the cues that we want to pitch, then we will engage with ReelCrafter. We're going to post these cues up in a ReelCrafter reel and leverage the analytics and the other tools of ReelCrafter to follow the journey of the album that we are pitching. So we're going to send it up to a library. We'll be able to tell what they click on, how long they listen. Maybe they skipped over some things. What are some of the tracks that never got any love? And so we're going to be using ReelCrafter with the Sync Accelerator. And the way we're saying is Sync Accelerator powered by ReelCrafter. The idea here is to write a brief every 2 to 4 weeks. We're starting kind of slowly with one brief every 4 weeks. And so it's going to be kind of a 4-week cycle. But super excited about that. We've got folks who are giving us tons of suggestions, and we are using the thumbs up and the engagement aspect within the community to kind of vote on cues or albums that you would be interested in writing. And so we can see here that this synthwave one got some love. And so that's what we're going to be writing here first. But if you are watching and you're family, friend, subscriber, and you have an idea of a type of album that you would be interested in writing and potentially pitching, then drop it in the poll. And then if there's something that you like, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see if the community is interested in writing that. So that is the Sync Accelerator. Past that, we get into the briefing room. And the briefing room started as an outreach. Outreach, is that the right way to say that? An outpouring? No, that's not right. It just organically grew from the relationships that I had with the libraries that I was personally writing for, including my relationship with my sports broadcasting publisher, including relationships that I have for publishers I'm working with that are pitching up to like Netflix shows and these other things. And so what this isn't is just blindly pitching. Instead, this is a library reaching out to me and through me to the community. We have a need. It could be Love is Blind, season whatever is coming up. Just today, we posted the brief for the PGA on CBS for 2026. We got marching orders from the network, and we've got references. We've got brief information from the producers and what they are looking for. And that brief went live literally like 2 hours ago. And then folks can RSVP to it, they can write to it. And with the briefing room, we have multiple rounds of revisions and feedback. So for round one, they submit something, then I give video feedback on each of the submission, and it's either a green light, it's a green light with revisions, it's I need revisions, which means I need to hear it for round two, or it might be a return. And if it is a return, then I provide actionable feedback for somebody to improve on future cues. Or if it's revisions, I give feedback, and then they submit up to round two. And so this has been going really, really well. And we also put like funny GIFs and everything. We just posted up our deliverables for a classical beats and funk album that we put together. And Mrs. 52 Cues handles all of the deliverables and the metadata. And so right now we've got 3 briefs, which are overlapping. And we've got the golf brief, we've got NFL on CBS mid-season refresh. But some of the past briefs that we have done cover not just sports broadcasting, but also, like I said, classical music. We did some stuff for a publisher looking for hip hop dramedy. We had another one that the library needed a super fast turnaround, and they were looking for minimal orchestral hip hop tension. And if you're wondering what's the deal with all these Batman gifs, if you're watching the podcast video, anytime we have a brief come in that has a super fast turnaround, we call those bat signal briefs, which means we're going to put the light up into the sky and all the superheroes get together and they start writing. It also means there's usually not multiple rounds of feedback, but we can mobilize our composers who are amazing, and we can get cues back to the publisher in just sometimes as fast as a week. We had a bat signal that came up for Halloween cues for the NFL on CBS and for college football. And we threw up the bat signal, and within a week, I think we ended up with like 14 cues. It was crazy how many cues we were able to put together in the kind of rising tide lifts all boats and a many hands make light work. And so these are all briefs from publishers. These are requests from publishers, everything from trailers to sports to tension to relational type cues, somber, melancholy cues. We even did some folk stuff. And of the folk stuff that we submitted, one of the cues from Dennis and Nora, Dennis Moen and Nora Chayad, the submissions they made for this brief got nominated for a Mark Award. Now, sadly, they didn't win, but man, really, they got the nomination, and that was from one of our briefing room briefs. And so the briefing room is packed with activity, and a lot of folks who bring things to the briefing room will also bring them to the weekly feedback. And there's just a lot of great things happening over there in the briefing room. And then finally, we have the Album Accelerator. The Album Accelerator, for lack of a better term, is a course. It is a self-guided course that has multiple videos, 42 lessons, where it walks you through the entire process of writing a production music album. If you've listened to the podcast, no doubt you've heard the ad for this at the end of the podcast or even at the beginning of the podcast. Everything from talking about why you need to write an album and how long your album should be, into album concepts, into instrumentation, into creativity, originality, using references, doing the work, project management, production, mixing, mastering, titling, metadata, and then finding a library and pitching your album to that library. And so the Album Accelerator has been around for a little while, and we have several folks who have joined us. So from connecting to learning to pitching, the entire kind of career process happening over here in the 52 Qs community. And we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. You know, I mentioned that our subscription tiers start at around $4 a month. If you watched the podcast before, if it's your first time, hello, welcome. You came on a very special podcast episode, but that is everything that's happening over in the community. But as always, it will be always free to join the 52 Qs community. You can join us in the cafe, do the weekly feedback, the new to Qs area. And most folks, they'll join us on the free plan, and then they'll see, wow, these things are happening in the community. And maybe I do want to start collaborating with some folks, or maybe I do want to see some of these workshops or watch some of the live streams. And I think that's how it should be. Is the family plan right for you? You might be asking yourself. And I would say if you are not writing regularly, or if you're not in a position where you feel good about working out your sustainable creativity, then the family plan's probably not going to be a fit. I mean, I'd love for you to join. I'll happily take your $49, but the idea is for you to write, get feedback every single week, write to these briefs, also get feedback. But if you're not there yet, that's totally okay. The friends might be great for you. You might be ready to kind of move past just kind of exploring and learning about it. And you're really ready to start seeing the process, working in the DAW. And that's where I think Friends is fantastic. Because with the live streams, the cue breakdowns, and the workshops, we really dig into the production process, how to write, the mechanics of it, form, structure, learning about cues and production and library music. But maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you just kind of want to see how it's done. That's where I think that Neighbors is great for, because they have access to the live streams and the Production Music Almanac. Again, you don't have to subscribe to any of those things. And if you don't, know that I love and appreciate you anyway. That's absolutely okay. This isn't just a giant commercial. I just wanted to show you everything that's going on in the community so you can decide for yourself if 52 Qs is a good fit. And if it's not, that's great too. You might be a member of Eric's community. You might be a member of Jesse's community. You might be a member of Stephen Bedall's community, or the folks over there at Music Interval Theory Academy. That's fantastic. I do not have all the answers, and my vibe and energy doesn't resonate with everybody. That's completely okay. But at the end of the day, and I've said this before on the podcast, find your tribe. Find the people that are where you want to be, who you resonate with, and you trust. Once you find those people, hold on to them. Hold on to them. So if you have any questions about the community, you can let me know over at 52 Qs. You can message me directly. You can leave me a comment here. And if you're interested in subscribing, once again, head over to 52qs.com, and we'd love to have you over there in the community. So normally in the podcast, this is where I would drop the little ad spot, but that feels a little heavy-handed right now. So instead, let's go ahead and jump into my recent cue that I wrote for Shark Week here this year for Discovery Channel. This is called Where My Breach Is At, and it is kind of a darker, a little bit more of an intense, more on the lines of like true crime, but a little sharky nonetheless. That was Where My Breeches At, which is a dark, kind of intense. It's not really brooding or ominous. There's a driving, pulsing, throbbing energy to it for Shark Week on Discovery Channel. And there's probably going to be a couple of more of these down the pipe. And the deliverables, actually, as I'm looking at the calendar, are due on Monday, so I've got to knock all of these out. They're already written. I just need to make sure that I get all the deliverables happening, which is why Friday's live stream might actually be deliverables for this. And I really enjoy writing these things. I really enjoy exploring all the synth textures, and I'm really going to be excited about exploring the synth textures in Omnisphere 3. Have you guys gotten it yet? Have you gotten Omnisphere 3? I picked it up on the afternoon before it was supposed to launch. It was supposed to launch on Tuesday, and Monday afternoon, at least here in the East Coast, it was available for download. And so I just bought it and downloaded it. And yeah, $200 for an upgrade, that is not an insignificant investment, but considering how much of a daily driver Omnisphere is for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, especially considering how it's been almost 10 years, I think, since Omnisphere 2 came out, and they had 2.5. And so, yeah, I think Spectrasonics does amazing work. The UI for Omnisphere isn't quite different enough, I think, that I wanted. I wanted some UI changes. They did some. They kind of flattened them out a little bit and doesn't look all quite so skeuomorphic. But some of the other features are outstanding. The mutate button looks super exciting. The new browser looks exciting. The multi-layered MPE support looks really, really cool. And all of the new sound sets and everything. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a review of that. Historically, I've been really terrible at coming up with reviews for the channel because it's not really what this channel is about, like tech reviews and that kind of thing. My heart is in it. I want to do it, but I don't think I can actually do it justice. There are folks out there, like Sanjay C. and I'm a Music Mogul and so many other people who do a significantly better job exploring plugins than I ever could. So maybe I just kind of stay in my lane. But that is going to do it for me this week. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, then maybe think about giving us a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more from 52Qs or me or the community, then obviously you can join us at 52qs.com or follow us here on YouTube or follow us on the podcast, in whatever podcast app that you are using, and leave a comment, or you can just stick around here because I'm sure you're going to get a video recommendation. I do put out videos nearly every single week, and it's great to be with you. I know you got a lot of options out there on YouTube and in the podcast space, so the fact that you spent a little bit of your day here with me, honestly and sincerely, means a lot. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've had a great week, and I know that next week is going to be amazing and great. How do I know that, and why do I believe that? It's because I believe that the universe has amazing plans just for you. Until next time, peace. The 52Qs podcast is copyright 2025 818 Studios, all rights reserved. The music played on the podcast is copyright of their respective owners and is used with permission and for educational purposes only. For more information, including joining the community, submitting your cue for review, or becoming a member subscriber of 52Qs, head over to 52qs.com.